Okay. I didn't want to run out of room. Okay, so because we subtracted the 2k from both sides, it's the subtraction property. Now, what do you notice? How did we go from step 2 to step 3? What did we do?
We crossed out the 2k.
And instead of writing 4k minus 3 minus 2k, we wrote what?
2k minus 3.
So when we replace something, what is that property that means replacing? It is substitution. So now what did we do? What did we do from step 3 to step 4? Well, yes, we did. So right here, we added 3. So what property do you think that is? Up here, we subtracted 2, and that was subtraction. So for adding 3, it's going to be, yep, it's the addition property. A lot of times you're going to see the addition property of equality, which you can see up here. It says the addition or subtraction property of equality. You guys, there's a multiplication property and a division property. It just means that what you're doing to one side of the equal sign, you're doing to the other. Okay, now, what did I do from step 4 to step 5?
You did 5 plus 3, which is 8. You crossed out negative 3 and negative.
What are negative 3 and 3 called? What?
Numbers.
They are called numbers, but remember last chapter we talked about a property, that they equal 0? It is the additive inverse. Additive inverse and substitution, those look the same. The reason I went with additive inverse is it's a better property because negative 3 plus 3 is 0. They cancel each other out. Okay, now, what are we doing in step 6? Dividing. So our property is division. We didn't divide by inverses or anything like that, so instead of writing 2k over 2, we wrote k. Instead of writing 8 divided by 2, we wrote 4. So we replaced those. So what property allows us to replace them? So it's substitution. You guys, again, you aren't going to have to do a full one of these, but you will have to do one that's partially filled out. So I always like to do one because I know that you're going to see them and you'll have to do them partially. So. Okay, so again, you guys, we're dealing with variables on both sides of the equal sign. So a lot of times when I say both sides, people are like, what do you mean both sides? It means you have a variable on the left-hand side of the equal sign and a variable on the right-hand side of the equal sign. Now, when I solve equations, I don't know why I've gotten into this, but since for the last couple years, it doesn't matter what. I always move my variable to the left-hand side. I always like my variable on the left-hand side. I don't care if it's positive or negative. I just put it on the left-hand side. The other thing that you need to know is that you should always move your variable first. Because if you move your variable first, you're going to get to the two-step equation that looks like number 6 on the board. Okay, so on number 1, the first thing that we're going to have to do on example 1, the first thing that we should do is combine like terms on one side of the equal sign. So before you start moving stuff from one side to the other, you need to combine on that one side. So 5 minus 2 is
3.
Would you minus y on the right side?
Yep. So we're going to, now we need to get the variables on, we need to get all the variables on one side of the equal sign. I'm going to put my variable always on the left-hand side. So since it's positive, I'm going to subtract. And what I mean is positive, I mean that 3y is positive. These cancel out. Well, what's 3y minus 3y? Okay, so this is what we call a special solution. And the reason it's a special solution is because does 0 equal 2?
No.
This is false. It's not true. So this is not true. Anybody remember what the solution would be?
No solution?
So no solution. Now, you guys, it doesn't happen very often, so be careful if you have the same variable that they don't always cancel out, you guys. If that -3 was a negative, they wouldn't have canceled out. Okay. So again, this is 0 equals 2. It's not true, so there's no solution. So the answer to this problem is no solution. Let's look at number 2. Is there anything on the left side that needs to be combined? Like any like terms on the left side? Are there any like terms on the right side?
No.
So we're just going to start moving. And like I said, I always move my variable first. And I always move my variable, if there's a variable on the right-hand side, I always move it to the left-hand side of the equal sign. So I have a 2x. 2x is positive, so what am I going to do? I'm going to subtract it because it was positive, so I have to take the opposite of it. These cancel out. And what is 5x minus 2x? 3x plus 2 equals -10. Now it looks like a two-step equation. And my variable's on the left-hand side. I do that because I think you guys feel comfortable with the left-hand side. It's like reading something. Now what am I going to move?
Subtract the 2.
I'm going to subtract the 2 because now I'm going to start going back to those order of operations. So I'm going to subtract 2, and the reason I'm subtracting 2 is because this is addition, so we're going to do the opposite. These cancel out. You guys, this is -2 minus 2. Well, if you borrowed $2 from me, you borrowed $10 from me, you borrowed another 2, you owe me 12. And now what do? I'm going to divide by what? Remember, you always divide by the number that's in front of the variable. And what is my final answer going to be?
Negative.
X equals -4. We good? Okay, I'm moving it over to example 3. The first question, is there anything I need to combine? Any like terms on the left side that I need to combine? Any like terms on the right side? So now I'm going to start moving my variables. And like I said, I'm always going to move my variable from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. My 6x is on the right-hand side. It's positive. So in order to move it, I'm going to, yep. The -4, there wasn't anything that we combined, so I'm just going to bring my -4 down. -3x minus 6x. Then I'm going to bring down the equals, and it equals -6. So you're moving it from the right-hand side of the equal sign to the left-hand side. And you guys, if you know, like to do, I call it the river. If you want to do the, like that, where where you do it one side so you can see the where the equal sign is, I'm fine with that. Because I know that's probably what you've done in the past. Go ahead and keep doing that. Okay, now what am I going to do? Yep, the 4 is negative, so I'm going to add 4 to both sides. What's negative 6 plus 4? So negative 6 plus 4 is negative 2. And what? Yep, I'm going to divide by what? What's in front of the variable? So we're going to divide by negative 9. X equals, well, you guys, 2 over 9, if you go to divide that, you're going to get a repeating decimal. And we're not going to do repeating decimals. So we're just going to leave it as 2/9. There is nothing wrong with that answer. That is a perfectly fine answer, and it's actually one of the better ones. Yeah, but what's a negative over a negative? So a negative over a negative is a positive, so drop the negatives. If you have a double negative, don't write the double negative. Okay. How many of you guys like fractions?
None.
Right. So let's get rid of the fraction.
Yes.
Okay, let's get rid of the fraction. But you can't just say, I'm just going to make it disappear. There are a couple things you have to do. So the first thing you have to do is tell me what the denominator of the fractions.
5.
So is it the same for both fractions? So we're going to multiply everything that you see by 5. So I'm going to rewrite it so you guys can see kind of what I mean. So 5 times this minus 5 times this equals 5 times 9 minus 5 times 3/5 y. That is what I mean by multiplying it by everything.
So we have to do that. You get to rewrite it like that.
You don't have to. You can write it underneath. I just rewrite it like this so you can actually see what I'm doing. So you guys, 5 times 2/5, these 5s cancel out. And you're left with 2y. 5, that subtraction sign stays. And what is 5 times 8? Now we're going to put that equal sign in. What is, yep, 5 times 9 is 45 minus, yep, these 5s. Only the 5s cancel out. The y doesn't cancel out, the y stays. So the 5s cancel out and I'm left with 3y. Now it looks like all the other typical equations that we have done. So if you don't like that fraction, let's get rid of it. And how you get rid of it is you look at the denominator, and if it's the same, we're going to multiply them all by the same. Now, what am I going to move? What variable am I going to move? Ian. What am I going to add?
3 plus 2. Y.
Yep, I'm going to add 3y to 2y. Because I always move my variable from the right-hand side of the equal sign to the left-hand side. So 2y plus 3y is minus 40 equals 45. I'm going to add 40 to both sides. So then I have 5y equals what? What's 45 and 40?
85.
85.
Divide equals 17.
We'll divide by 5. And our basic y equals 17.
So did we really have to go through all that, or is that just how it, like, it's another way to explain it? Another way to do it?
You would have to move the 3. So you could move the 3/5 over to the 2/5.
Yeah.
You would get 1.
Yeah.
Yes, you can do it that way too, but a lot of people, because
That way.
this, I wanted to show you this way because not all the fractions have common denominators. So I'm gonna, I'll show you. But yes, you could have done 3/5 and you could have moved it and got 1. We would have still gotten the same answer. Okay, one more. Now see on this one, see how the fractions don't have the same denominator? So now this is where if you were like, I don't remember how to do this, you can multiply it or you can get rid of the fractions. It's up to you. Let's save that one for tomorrow. Let's do number 6 because 6 is a basic one and we can get this one done. Okay, what am I moving?
10y.
I'm going to move the 10y from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. It's positive, so when I move it, what does it become? And you guys remember, you need to put it underneath the like term. And underneath the like term would be 2y is over negative 10y. These cancel out, and I have 12 minus 8y equals negative 12. Because 2 minus 10 is negative 8. Now what am I going to do?
The 12, subtract 12 from the left side to the right side. Hopefully you do that, you'll get negative 24. Yeah.
You guys, these don't cancel out. It's not, negative 12 minus 12 is not 0. You are left with negative 8y equals negative 24.
And you'll divide and get negative.
Then we divide by negative 8. Y equals positive 3.